Rachel from 7 and All, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing all the things that I don't do in my home and my homeschool on a regular basis. This video idea is completely stolen from Katie at Life in the Mundane. I'm sure many other channels have done similar type of videos, but she's the one who really inspired me. She had a great video sharing about how she manages all the work that she does do with her business, with her homeschool, with parenting, with meeting her kids' special needs. She talked about how she does it by not doing everything, by not doing everything in all seasons. She had a great video. I'm gonna link to it down below and you should definitely check it out. But she inspired me to actually make this video and to kind of put my own spin on this. I'll be sharing the things that I do not do in my home and school and everyday mom life. And at the end of the video, I'm gonna be sharing with you my #1 tip on prioritizing, because that's something we're all doing. We are prioritizing what we do, what is going to be a part of our everyday life, and what we don't do, what isn't going to be a part of our everyday life. I'm going to share with you my #1 tip on being able to tell whether what you are doing or what you're trying to make a decision, whether you should do it or not, is genuinely a priority to you, or whether it's just a priority that it seems like people like you should have. So stick around to the end to find out that. Okay, #1 thing that I do not do is I don't cook breakfast for my family. I kind of actually grew up in a family where breakfast wasn't cooked and it was pretty much every man for himself. So I think I only kind of realized that a lot of moms and homeschool moms cook breakfasts for their families once I got on social media and realized that this was a thing. I don't do anything that I actually would consider real cooking for breakfast. There might be times that I make myself some oatmeal and my husband says, hey, make a little extra and make me some too. And so we'll both have some oatmeal for breakfast, or I might fry an egg for the two of us. My boys typically have toast with peanut butter, tortillas with peanut butter, fruit, those types of foods. We don't really eat cereal because cereal is really expensive here and kind of limited options. In all honesty, if I got my way, I would probably eat off-brand wheat chex cereal like every day for the rest of my life, because I love that. Like cold breakfast, simple breakfast, it works for our family. And I do cook, I cook every single day, but not for breakfast. #2 thing that I do not do in my homeschool, I have very young children right now, and I'm not an anti-craft person, but at this stage of my life, I am anti-intricate or fancy crafts that are actually supposed to turn out looking like something. I totally believe in crafts and using craft materials for young children, for their motor skills development, for creativity and reasoning. Like, I think there's so much good learning that happens, but I'm not gonna do like, I have to cut out and prep a whole bunch of pieces of paper so that I can help him glue those pieces of paper together and then it ends up looking like a chicken inside an egg or something like that. That's not my style of craft. This is my style of craft. I give them paint, I give them paper, I give them paintbrushes, and I say, you know, have fun, and they have lots of fun, and they just like paint to their little heart's content. And it's probably pretty ugly, although recently he's been really into painting like rainbows. He likes rainbows, and sometimes he does kind of Rorschach ink blots, or what are those things where you like paint a bunch of things and then you fold it in half? He really likes to do that and then see how the paper turns out after it's been folded in half. I do crafts. I'm not scared of glitter or paint, but I'm not gonna do like, I'm not gonna do a craft where it takes me more time to prep it than it takes my kids to do it. I do crafts that are heavy on them doing something pretty open-ended, and I don't do much. #3, I do not lesson plan. I don't weekly lesson plan, I don't monthly lesson plan. The closest thing I do to lesson planning right now is I'm using Gentle and Classical Primer, which does require a little bit of prep for me in laying out the week for our morning time, because it isn't scheduled out day by day what to read, but that is a very, very minimal and basic, and probably about the most lesson planning I would do. I've made a homeschool planning, how we attack homeschool planning video in the past, which I'll try to link in the cards here, but we really have a set it and forget it kind of style of homeschool, and it's not that we don't adapt when needed, we absolutely do, but neither me or my mom are going out making lesson plans. We tend to teach more within our strengths when possible because we have the two of us. So I've been teaching my sister Chinese for years now. I've been teaching her Mandarin Chinese. I do have a background. I've taken formal lessons in Mandarin Chinese. I've lived in China. I do not know anything near to everything to know about Mandarin Chinese. Probably in every single lesson in our little books we're reading or grammar books, there's something I run into that I'm not necessarily super solid on or 100% sure on. But I have never prepped once for one of the Chinese classes that we've done. I do have enough background knowledge that I can explain, okay, this is the radical, this is the stroke order, this is the phonetic that's being used here, or this is the grammar pattern that we're seeing at work, let's practice using this. I have enough background that I can pretty much just walk into whatever we're doing in the next page in the book and expand off of that. But there's always probably going to be a character that I do not know what that means. But I don't worry about not like, oh no, my Sarah's gonna find out that I don't know what this character means. No, I just say, oh, I'm not sure on that, let's look it up. And I'm teaching her the skills of how to be able to see a character, find out what it means, learn how to really use it in sentences, even when I don't know that. So I'm kind of, by not lesson planning, I am able to teach her the skills of, let's figure out how to do this together so that she can figure out how to do it on her own. Number 4, co-ops. My family never did a homeschool co-op when I was growing up. I can't really picture myself ever doing a homeschool co-op. I mean, never say never. There can be very different seasons of life. I kind of feel like I'm not really a prime candidate for co-ops. I'm introverted. I can be a little bit probably bossy, you know, first child syndrome and all that. I like freedom. I like having a really free schedule. So I kind of like being my own person. Like the free time in homeschool is one of my favorite parts. So it's not something I would give up lightly to join a co-op for. What I do, and where probably my kids get their most social interaction, is I do tutoring on a regular basis with children who are struggling within the local school system, and I give extra like reading, comprehension support, vocabulary support, writing support. So I do individual tutoring just on a volunteer basis, and I purposely volunteer at a place that lets me bring my kids with me. And my kids have developed really good friendships with the kids that I work with, even though they're not the same age or anything like that. But I love that. So we do have a regular opportunity to interact with other kids, but it's not a co-op. Maybe this one is number 5. I do not do all of this life alone. We live very close to our family. We are very close to our family. And for me and my husband, that was a very intentional and possibly extreme choice. We literally moved all the way to the other side of the world and ended up very close to my parents and my youngest sisters. They weren't the only reason we moved to where we live today, but they were a significant factor. We purposefully want to live by our family and to do life with them, and we truly do that. You've seen that in my videos. Our family is very close. We help each other a lot. It has been the biggest blessing to live close to my parents as I'm in this season of young motherhood, being able to have grandma around to help and to babysit. And she truly is the best babysitter you could ask for. I mean, what kind of babysitter comes over, watches your toddlers, and then you come home and your entire house is swept and mopped by the time you come home from whatever you were doing out? Like, she is amazing. I am so grateful and so thankful for her. Our whole family is very willing to help each other out. We don't believe in necessarily the totally independent ideal of every man has to take care of every single individual thing themselves. We see a lot of value in, hey, Angel's going to the grocery store. Can he pick up something for my parents? Or maybe my parents are going to the grocery store. Can they pick up something for us? We tend to do that kind of thing of calling each other when there's errands going on, especially during all the lockdowns when it was harder to get out and harder to get supplies. So I don't do things alone. I am very grateful for, and I encourage everyone to kind of find your tribe and find your people who you can do the work of life with, not just the fun of life. Number 6, I do not exercise. And I guess this is kind of always comparative. I'm married to a really athletic guy who plays soccer a couple times a week and does CrossFit, and before the pandemic he ran races all the time, like once a month he was running 10Ks. So I'm married to a very athletic person, and the amount of exercise I do in a week is probably at 3 10 to 15 minute Pilates videos here in the comfort of my own house. Now, I feel like I have a fairly active lifestyle because I'm a mom of 2 young boys who's staying at home, taking care of my house, I've told my husband, I think I should put on your step tracker sometime to see how many steps I'm getting in a day. But at this season of my life, and also just based on my own interests, there's not a whole lot of exercise. I kind of think probably it's very normal that if you have 2 parents and one of them exercises a lot, they probably don't both exercise a lot. And also, like, if I just do a little bit of Pilates, that feels good. I like that. I'm comfortable with that. I don't need any like classes or going out to a gym. This works for me, and it's very minimal time commitment. Number 7, I actually don't do errands. Pretty much, yeah. I don't do errands by myself at all. I don't pack up my boys and go to the grocery store. My husband does pretty much all of our errands. Actually, if you see me filming a sit-down video, you can almost guarantee that my husband is out at the store with my sons completing some errand. We schedule our lives so that errands can happen on the weekends or in the evenings when he is out of work. We are a 1-car family, and while I do go out with the boys to maybe stores that are within walking distance, he takes the car to work, and he will do the errands at the other times when he's not working. So that's just what works for our family, and I don't worry about trying to get all the errands done while my husband is at work. We push those off, and that's something that he can do quality time with his boys, and that does usually give me time to work by myself at home, film videos, create curriculum. That's him taking boys out on errands is just one of those ways that makes it possible for me to do this kind of homeschool work and curriculum creation. Another thing that I do not do is I don't wear makeup on a daily basis at all. I pretty much, in the last 2 years, have pretty much only worn makeup for YouTube videos, because even when I go out, I have to wear a mask, so what's the point of wearing makeup? But yeah, when I'm at home, I don't wear makeup. This is actually kind of more from a fundamental belief that makeup is not necessarily the best thing for healthy skin and for youthful skin. So I think giving my skin a good long break from makeup pretty much the whole entire week is healthy for it. Also, I live in a very hot climate, so makeup melts pretty fast. I don't really go out anywhere. I want my kids and my family to see me totally natural, natural face, bare face most of the time. I think there's a lot of beauty in no makeup, but you will notice I do wear makeup when I film YouTube videos. This is kind of my equivalent to a mom's night out right now, is making YouTube videos in this season. So yeah, I like makeup, I enjoy fashion and style. So I will use it, but it's definitely not something that's part of my everyday routine. It's not something that I'm setting aside time for. To me, I feel totally comfortable and put together with just a t-shirt and a skirt and shorts and my hair up in a cute ponytail, and I'm good to go for the day of parenting my 4 and 2-year-old boys here in this very hot climate. And number 9, I do not decorate my home. I do clean my home. I keep it generally tidy, but I do not like it decorated and make it look super pretty and fancy. And if you have watched my day in the life videos, this is probably patently obvious. I joke that I'm a practical minimalist, not a cool minimalist. So I don't have coordinated minimalist decor. I just have like no decor, pretty much. And this really kind of started when we first moved overseas. Houses are a little bit more, I would say, utilitarian in where we previously lived, and even now, although I think my house has some pretty cool features. I love the stone floors and the staircase. With living overseas and kind of the uncertainty of that lifestyle, it doesn't necessarily make so much sense to invest in home decor, and also it's just not a priority for me. It's not something I'm in love with. I can appreciate going into someone's pretty home, and I can appreciate living in my nice home with not a lot of stuff on the walls and not a lot of stuff to dust, and little boys who can run everywhere without worrying about knocking into anything, because there's not much to knock into. So this is where I would go into my big tip of, when you're deciding, in your priorities, what should you do? What should you genuinely make time for? I would encourage you to consider this when you're deciding on kind of these little priorities that maybe it's not at the very core or center of your being, but it is something to consider, something like decoration. If you see other people decorating your homes, or you think about a decorated home and it makes you sad, inside. It makes you kind of feel like, I wish I did have that. I wish I could kind of find a way to make time for that or set aside funds for that. Then I would encourage you to try to do that in some small way. It doesn't have to be in a big way, but I would encourage you to walk a little bit in that direction and open the door in that direction of decorating your home or whatever it is. But if you can see someone's beautifully decorated home and you feel in yourself like, that's beautiful, and I have zero desire to do anything like that in my home, that's when you know you're probably in a good place. That no, you don't need to add that priority into your life. That might be a priority that does matter to quite a few moms around your age in similar stage of life, but to you, it just hasn't clicked right now. It just isn't something you're super interested in right now. That's when you can probably totally set it aside. So that is my encouragement to you on when you're trying to choose your priorities throughout your day. Your priorities are not going to be exactly the same as mine. Probably many of you actually care about decorating your homes, and that's totally fine. But think about what does really matter to you on the inside, and what are those things that maybe it seems like it ought to matter, but it doesn't, and it's actually really not something that needs to matter at this time. It is something that can be genuinely set aside, that this is not going to be a part of my life. This is not going to be something I do right now. I hope this video was encouraging to you and helped you to think about being intentional in the choices of what you do and what you don't do in your everyday life. Seek to make time for the things that genuinely do matter to you, that do make you sad and feel like something's missing when you don't do it. That's one of the reasons I do make time for those 10 minutes of Pilates here and there, because it's worth that much to me. It's not worth going to a whole class or anything like that, but it is worth a little bit in a small way to me. But also feel free to toss aside those priorities that are priorities to other people, and that's great, but they really don't need to be priorities to you and your family and how you live your everyday life. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up, and I would love for you to subscribe to my channel to see more from our practical and joyful homeschool life. Bye!